Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm teacher Naemah binti Abdul Hamid, and today I will be sharing my best practice in teaching writing. So I will share on making narrative writing vivid, describing an object. First, a little bit introduction about this intervention that I did. The target group that I have chosen is from 4 Al-A'la students. So, this class is the first class out of 10 class at my school. And the class consists of mixed ability students from A2, B1 and B2 level of English. So, for this intervention, I give them this pretest question on a story. This is due to their interest in writing a story. So this is the question for the pretest question. So they have to write a story which begins with, James was walking along the beach when he tripped over a strange black object. In this essay, they have to first describe the object James found and how it created chaos in his life. Next, they have to talk about the challenges he faced when trying to destroy the object. So, I have identified this gap based on the pretest result. So the students use simple and vague descriptions when they describe the object. And these are some excerpts by my students. The first student wrote, he found a black object. It was strange. So, only one detail while describing the object, which is, it was strange. For student 2, he wrote, he looks at the black object. The black object was box. So the description of the black object was simply that it was a box. So, I have found that the description is too simple, and I have also found other issues and problems based on the pretest that I did. First, students struggle to write structured descriptions of objects. Next, students have limited descriptive vocabulary when they describe an object. Besides, students also face difficulty to extend object details into logical narrative plots. Last but not least, narratives feel flat, lack of mood, coherence, and impact. So, these are my objectives. By the end of the intervention, I hope that students can generate descriptive vocabulary to describe an object, organize ideas using a characteristics traits tree, apply sentence skeleton to build paragraphs, and integrate description into a short narrative. As for the success criteria, students should be able to write at least one paragraph with 4 to 6 descriptive sentences using correct past tense plus vivid details. So this is the intervention flow for my teaching. First, I started with teaching, where I gave them a vocabulary bank and they learn new vocabulary to describe an object in terms of shape, color, size, surface or texture, and characteristics. Next, they move on to the second activity, word detective, and then next they will go to characteristics traits tree, where they will begin to describe the object. After that, they will move on to the last activity, which is sentence skeleton. So, this is a picture of my worksheet on characteristics traits tree. So, this is the worksheet for activity 2, where the students will work together in a group and they are given one picture of an object. Based on the picture of the object, they have to describe the object in the picture and fill in details about this object on this characteristics traits tree. For example, they need to describe the object in terms of what color is it, the size, shape, the surface or texture of the object, special characteristics, for example, if the object moves or have any types of behavior. And then I also added characters' reaction towards the object. So for this reaction, the character's reaction is in terms of emotion. How was the character feeling when he or she looked at the object? Was he or she mesmerized, amused, scared, or intrigued? And then the character's reaction also focused on action taken by the character. What did he or she do after looking at the object? Did they pick up the object or just leave it there? So this is an example of the characteristics tree when it is already filled with details about objects, about description of the objects. And after that, they will move their details of the objects, the descriptions in terms of color, shape, size, surface, texture, and others into this sentence skeleton. So this is the last activity that they will do. So for the sentence skeleton, all the students have to fill in the sentence skeleton using the details. And they will have a full paragraph which is full of details, vivid, and also in correct and coherent order. So this is the classroom intervention that I did with my students from 4 Al-A'la. So I found that my students really enjoyed the activities like the characteristics traits tree and also the sentence skeleton, and they have commented that these activities have greatly helped them to have ideas and to write better and to also write more vivid details to describe an object. So after that, I did post-test question to my students to test their knowledge and how far they have improved from learning about describing an object. So this is the question for my post-test. The question is quite similar to the first test, which is the pre-test. So they have to start a story with the city lights flickered in the distance. As I crossed the empty bridge, I noticed something lying in the middle of the walkway. In this story, they have to first describe the object they found and what they decided to do with it. So for this task, it is similar as the pre-test because I want to see how they have managed to improve their description of object. So this is the impact of the pre versus post test. As you can see here, this is the sample of their writing for pre-test. From student 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, their description of the object is quite simple. Most of them only describe the object in 1 or 2 details only. And this is the result of their post-test. Comparing to pre-test, their post-test writing have greatly improved. They have written longer and more detailed sentences containing detailed descriptions of the object. As you can see here, from student 3, you can see the pre-test versus the post-test result. For the pre-test, he wrote, it was a medium-sized box that covers with the leaves. So the description is very simple, medium-sized box covered with leaves. As for the post-test, this student has greatly improved. The description has also become longer and more detailed. On the dark street lay a small oval stone, the color of midnight. A faint hum pulsed from within like a heartbeat. It glinted faintly and the edges were rough. So it is full of details and you can picture this object in your mind. This is another sample from student 5. For pre-test, he wrote, he was shocked when he knew the black object is the crystal. There is only one description of the object, which is the object is a crystal. While for post-test, this student wrote, the thing looked like a small emerald green sphere. So you have small, you have emerald, you have green, and you have sphere. There are 4 descriptions there. It has a slick surface and shining, and you have 2 more descriptions. So here the descriptions are more rich and vivid. And this is the data analysis from the pre versus post test. Based on the descriptive language, 8 out of 11 students began using richer vocabulary, figurative language, and more emotional detail from pre-test to post-test. Next, in terms of sentence structure, 9 out of 11 students have improved in areas like sentence length, SVA accuracy, and also cohesion. So, it shows that the students have improved by using the details to describe the object. So this is some of the results and outcomes from the intervention. First, enrich vocabulary and use of precise descriptive words by students. Next, descriptions are more organized. Then, more vivid and coherent descriptive paragraphs are produced. Lastly, increase confidence and enthusiasm among students in narrative writing tasks. For discussion, it has shown that the structured scaffolds like the word banks, characteristic straight tree, sentence skeletons supported all learners, including weaker students, to describe objects more vividly. Besides, collaborative tasks encourage peer learning, while guided practice bridge vocabulary generation and narrative extension. So, in conclusion, the intervention has successfully addressed pupils' difficulties in descriptive writing, improved their descriptive details, and also enhance students' creativity and sentence coherence. So, by using scaffolds and structured practice, students move from vague object descriptions to writing vivid, coherent narratives that demonstrated improved vocabulary, organization, and creativity. So, for the way forward, I have planned for scaffolds expansion. So, future lessons will expand these scaffolds to other genres of writing, such as settings and character descriptions. And I also plan for ongoing practice with peer feedback and narrative extension to sustain improvements. So that's all for my sharing today. I hope all of you have learned something beneficial from it. Thank you.